Hello, David.
Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. We're live. I want to go ahead and welcome you back to You Have a Collect Call From. This is going to be
Yes, sir.
your fourth part of your video. Definitely looking forward to continue with your story.
This
Uh,
call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Okay. It's cool, man. Good to be back, man. I just want to send a shout out to the listeners. I appreciate everybody that took the time to send me feedback and ask questions. Um, that that helped that helped keep me motivated. To keep on this story, man, and this narrative because it's not easy. It's a lot to think about.
you know what? And right before I cut off the stream, I noticed that somebody had asked a question. I don't remember what the question was. Um,
Oh, it was about a plea bargain.
oh yeah. They wanted to know, yeah, if they offered you any type of deals. Oh, did that ever come about, or is that why you took it to trial, because they weren't offering anything that was remotely
Yeah, they didn't um they didn't offer me any type of plea bargain. And the crazy part is I had asked my attorney at the time um to explore that possibility. And my attorney he said that he talked to the district attorney and they pretty much just laughed at him. you know and I was actually I was just open for any conversation, but at the end of the day, um I don't think I could have just took a life sentence. Anything that they would have tried to offer me would have probably been, somewhere along those lines. And it's kind of hard to just accept something like that. And at the time that everything happened, I had taken on the victim mindset. I had looked at it like I wasn't like, I was still trying to like get away with it, and I was still like I hadn't accepted responsibility for it. Like everything was everybody else's fault. It was the girls that set everything up. It was the lawyers. It was the district attorney. It was everybody but me. So I don't think that I would have signed anything anyway. I mean, I'm sure if they offered me something without the life sentence, I probably would have jumped on that though.
and you know what, I wanted to ask you something, but I think I know the answer to the question. So
Uh huh.
when you hit county, as soon as you hit county, you weren't
Uh huh.
you weren't put into a regular module, because what I was going to ask you was if you were in the same unit with Jesse when you hit county. But because I think you mentioned that Jesse was there during the time you landed there.
Jesse was there in the county when I was there, but if he wasn't there when I got there, he was there. He was there like during the time like that I was still going to my court dates early on. And when I had rolled in, I had talked to Jesse on the phone before I had come in, and he had called me and he was like, man, you know, I'm hearing these things, and he goes, you're my boy and everything, and he was just basically telling me like, if it's coming my way, it's probably not good, and just in so many words, I felt like his message, even though that he was kind of like dodging around the subject, I felt like he was basically telling me just be careful, watch yourself. And when I told you about unspoken things, certain conversations, certain things, and in his conversation was basically like this, because I had been green lighted for a little while at this time when he had called me. Well, there was a lot of conversation that was stirring up around me, and that was as good as gold as far as I was concerned. And Jesse's phone call just basically told me like it reinforced our friendship because a lot of people didn't call me. A lot of people would have wanted me to just keep doing what I was doing, hoping that I get put in a situation where that would be taken care of. And so what he told me, what he was told me was, you're still my boy. Um, you know, you're my boy. You're always gonna be my boy. Watch your ass because it don't look good. And what's up? What you got for me? And that's and that's basically that. Because Jesse was he was inside, and I was out on the streets. And so It was just a matter of love lost. Just the dynamic has changed now. It's just business, and I understood that. I understood what it was, and so when I came into the jail, my situation was different because I hadn't crossed into an SNY yard. My story was very it was in the media a lot. My situation, my case. So it was no secret what I was coming in here, what I was coming into the county jail for. The officers knew, and they knew me. They knew me from the moment that I walked in. Um, I'm arrested. I'm seeing getting into the county jail, and they basically have to make a decision. Are they going to put me in ATSEG, or are they gonna try to integrate me into one of those SMY tanks or a PC tank? And that's risky, and I know that me going into a general population tank with under my circumstances, that wasn't an option. I wouldn't have lasted 2 seconds in there. So I did have a chance to see Jesse when I came into the county. I saw him on the bus later on, and when I walked by, when I first saw him, I'm gonna get more into my intake and stuff like that. But when I went to court one day, I walked right by and I just had that look, like it's all bad. And then somebody yelled my name, he yelled my name, my first and last, and I was like, man, who's calling me by my government name? I looked over and there he was, and he just looked at me, like, I got your ass. And a few years, and that was the last time that I had seen him because he was heavily involved with his, what he was doing, especially at that time. And I mean, you guys have heard his story. The listeners have heard his story. For the ones who haven't, I suggest you check it out. Because he has his own unique journey on the things that he was doing. But I knew what it was with him. He knew what it was with me. There was no love lost. The dynamic of the politics was there. So it was best to just not talk to him at that time, and he felt the same way. Like it was just best to just act like we don't know each other, just say what's up when we can, and let's go about our business. But later on the bus, I ran into Jesse on the bus, and he's in AdSeg, and he's a superstar. Everybody's talking to him. His name's out there, and I'm sitting in the back, and I feel like, man, there's nothing like riding in a bus with a bunch of weird people, man. Like the wristbands that you wear when you're in PC is blue, and I'm not used to that. It was to me it was a disgrace. It was everything that I stood against, and I was just every time that I sat there, man, in that bus, and I just felt disgusted, and the people that were around me, I was just looking at it like, man, like what have I done? I was second guessing my decisions, and there's Jesse. He's in his own little. They had him in a special cage. He couldn't even be out with everybody else, because of his status at that time, and the things that he was doing. So he was in the hole in the county where they had a special jumpsuit, and everybody's hollering.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
And I'm looking at him, and he's talking to his homies. I got some of his homies that are like looking back at me, and they're just like, they're looking at all of us back there, And Jesse's throwing some stuff out there. He mentioned like I remember he threw a gang name out there that it was an inside thing between me and him. And when he said it out there, that was basically him telling me like I love you, fool. Just keep your head up, like I ain't forgot about you. So I heard it, when he mentioned that it was an inside thing, and I heard it, and I was like, damn, that's right, at least my boy ain't forgot about me, And then after he just cut all the bullshit, and he was like, what's up, man? What the fuck? He yelled at me across the whole bus, and everybody's looking at me and him, and they're just like, damn, how you know this fool, And we just started chopping it up, and we had to keep it light though, because at the end of the day, we weren't supposed to be interacting like that, according to his politics, Even on my side, it was just kind of like we had to keep it separate. But yeah, I had a chance to when I walked out of the bus. I was walking out of the bus, and I had to pass by his cage, And I turned around and I looked at him, I stopped and I looked at him, and I just told him, don't be mad at me, And I felt like I let him down. I felt like I let all our friends down. I felt like I let like that's the brainwash that they had they had instilled in us from a young age. Like, this is disgraceful what you're doing, And I wrote Jesse a letter, and he wasn't trying to hear all that because I was on some PC shit, I was just telling him like, this side's all good, and just basically throwing a gang of like subliminals out there, like you need to lock it up. It's better over here, and he got that. We talked about it later. He's like, man, I wasn't trying to hear all that PC stuff. I just want to see how you're doing, you know. And so, and I understand that, you know. I understand that. I understand that perspective. So that's my interactions with him in the county jail. I wrote him one time. He didn't write back, but I knew what it was, you know. So yeah, that's. I hope that answers the question in detail.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And you know what? And I was thinking about something this morning that I wanted to ask you. And then, of course, you know, when the
Yeah,
time comes around, I totally forgot right now when I got your phone call. But then I was trying to remember it. And in the future, I should probably take notes. But I was thinking about this when I was showering, so there was no way for me to write it. So you know how that goes.
yeah. Uh,
Um,
yep, yep.
and I want to touch on something because, um, you know, like a lot of people when when they get discarded, um,
Uh huh.
I mean, in reality, you know, what can you do? You know, like it's not like you're going against one person, two people, three people. You're going against the whole system that's jumping on your back. So you're not going to win this battle. I mean, when you were on the main line, was there anybody that you ever saw
Yep.
that went up that you know got this put on disregard status or you know they got washed up, and were they able to fight everybody and remain in the main line? I don't think I've ever heard a story of anybody successfully combating our organization like that. Do you know of anybody that's done it?
I have. I have. You know.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Yeah, they're not here no more. You know. And yeah, they and I think about that. You know. I think about that. I'll call back and get more into that in a moment. All right. The call's gonna disconnect.
Okay, perfect,
So
perfect. We'll be here waiting.
I'll
Thank you.
call back on. Yep. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, 15 minutes came a little bit earlier because I was having some technical difficulties earlier on when I was trying to go live. I was originally supposed to start at 4:10, but when I was hitting the go live button, it wasn't working. So I was trying to figure out what was going on and whatnot, and finally I was able to get it up and running. So we lost a few minutes in the middle of that. So but we'll go ahead and make them up on this next phone call. And I want to go ahead and wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, I'm gonna be working, so hopefully there's still some food. When I get home, normally we go to my wife's parents' house or the in-laws, and she normally gets down with that. So I've been off the whole week. I'm only gonna be working Thursday. I blacked out my schedule, but unfortunately I had to work one of the holidays.
Call is now being
This is
recorded.
Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
David Lopez.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Okay, James.
Got it, got it. You're good to go.
Yep. So on that last question, like I said, I can't get into too much stuff, man, because I don't really want to put nothing out there or disrespect anybody, But I told you about my boy, that I got tight with, the one that I had in the vent, and I was like his little brother, and he had some stuff going on, and there was a lot of conversations, surrounding him, but he was a gang leader, he was a notorious gang leader, and he went out there, he went out to the yard. He was an arrogant dude, man. He just, his personality was just, man, that's just how he was. And yeah, they stabbed him to death, and he stabbed him to death and killed him. And you know I know of people that went out on the streets and they weren't gonna leave. They were pretty much leaving like how I was leaving. They weren't gonna leave. They were gonna stay in their area. They were, and especially with gang leaders, like that's the end game. That's how you. That's how you. That's how you win that game. There's no, when you get into those types of situations or those types of levels, like that's a warrior's death right there. If he did what he was supposed to do, he did what he signed up for. He signed up to die if he had to. And he didn't go out like I did. I That's when I realized that. it wasn't in me. You know, there was a time where it was in my head, and I was thinking, you know what, like, I got this. No matter what happens, I got this. There's nothing different about them than me, and I'm gonna pursue this because I started to believe in myself in that regard. You know, the dysfunction um, was set pretty deep, and the brainwash was set deep, where I believed that I was one of them. You know, and at the end of the day, I wasn't. I didn't want to do the rest of my life in the shoe. I didn't want to get stabbed to death on a yard just to prove a point, like the ultimate point, like, oh shit, he was with it, you know. And the crazy part is that my crazy ass Sally, he did it. This is the one motherfucker. I know a few others too. I know a few others, but they ended up on this side, but they got stabbed up pretty good, man. They got fucked off. But my Sally actually went into a cell with the hitters, and he knew that this was going to happen, and they had made a move on him, and he went into the next cell, and they hit him, and he still stayed on the yard. You know, I know him. I've known him for a long time. You know, and I know that Marcelli, he's stubborn. I want to say he was with the business, but I know that he's stubborn, and he just refused to give up. You know, he was like, yeah, fuck all this, and he did it, man. They stabbed him. You know, so he stayed on, and he was able to make some moves after that, and you know I mean, it was just a matter of time anyway, and he knew it. You know, because at the end of the day, I'm sure when that happened to him, you guys can probably, you know, talk to him more about this situation, about what was in his head to cause him to want to fix a situation like this. Because I told you about the deep dysfunction and the deep brainwashing, but that's for each individual to explain, you know, on their own. Because I mean, he's sitting right down here, you know, right now he's on his bunk, I'm on my bunk, but it would be better to ask him, you know, what the hell is he thinking? um, when I was gonna go into a tank, I mean, I thought about it. I was like, you know what? They're not gonna be sure. You know, they're gonna have to verify this stuff. You know, because I told you things move kind of slow. You know, in the system. There's a lot of phones and stuff now, but when you get into the county jail, I would have the advantage momentarily. They wouldn't know the situation. They would suspect. I'm a smooth talker, and I could have bought myself enough time to probably get somebody pretty good, but then I still would have got by the whole system. You know what I'm saying? That tank would have rose up, and they probably would have killed me. But at least I would have got two or three, you know, on a dolphin move or something like that. But for me, it's over, you know, and I understood that it was over at that time when I came into the county jail. There's no reasonable path moving forward in that organization. So I hope I was able to shed a little bit of light on that one, you know, for you.
You know, and thank you, yeah, for definitely shedding light on that for me. And I want to throw something out there because you know I had a buddy of mine's pretty much my connection there in Centinela, the one that's
Yeah.
connecting me with everybody there in that yard, and
Yep.
and I remember when you know when he called me up, you know when he decided to walk away, and I pretty much told him like look, what would you rather prefer? Would you rather prefer you know to get smoked, you know, on the yard,
Uh huh.
or and then your mom's gonna have to deal with that, or I was like man, like your mom doesn't care if you come home as a you know quote unquote PC. She don't care for like she just wants you to come home. So you got to
Yeah.
think about that, you know. Like at the end of the day, you know what truly matters, you know, like that all these people are gonna think that you're no good, you know, after you know you've been a good soldier, you know, up until this point,
Yeah.
you had two options. You had two options, you know, either put in the work,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
like put in the work, catch a life
Yeah. Yeah.
sentence, or walk
Uh huh.
away and you know he's gonna come home, you know, shortly. So
Yeah.
and I guess it kind of makes sense, you know. Obviously, I've never been to prison, so I'm not thinking about you know like my reputation. Like for me, like if I was in the situation, I would have rolled it up, peace, and I'm out, deuces. You know, I want to come home. You know, I'm not trying to be in prison for the rest of my life. But that's just me, you know. Like
Yeah.
obviously, you know, I don't have that
Yeah.
prison mentality, so you know, just wanted to you know share that with you.
No, that's an actual, that's a logical perspective. You know, it's a logical perspective to have. Like you don't. Most people, most normal people, you know, I've heard this before. They're not going to come into prison and try to run the place, try to commit violence and try to smuggle stuff in and do all that. That most normal people come into prison scared to death. Like, what am I doing? Trying to bail out, freaking out. I've seen it. We've all seen it in here. We've seen that person that came in like to the county jail, and he wasn't with this. And that's what you do. You get guy. I see guys here on these yards that they've never been to the main line before, and I think like, damn, like why would you lock it up if you're not even involved with nothing? I wouldn't have had to have been over here on this side if I wasn't involved with the political spectrum. I never had an issue in prison like that. Like I was the issue. You know, so I tripped out on that. Like what would lead them to do it, and they were just like, man, fuck all that. I'm not doing that. And there's a lot more stuff. There's stuff that we can't discuss on this channel that people have to go through. And I think about that. Like damn. Like yeah, that's to us that's like nothing. We look at it like damn. Like you locked it up over that. Well, that was fixable. But they're just like yeah, they're not having it, man. They're not. There's people that leave that side just over the racial thing. And me, like I have friends that were, I had dudes that I was cool with that were Northerners. I had dudes that I was cool with that were blacks and whites, and we were straight. And we all had agreements. Like hey, if something happened on the yard, um, yeah, if something happened on the yard, there's plenty of people to go after. We don't gotta go after you don't have to go after the people that you're cool with. You just find somebody. There's always somebody you don't like. We'll just cross paths along the way. And we'll just keep it down low. But some people are like, look, I don't know, I don't accept that I can't drink after a black guy. I don't accept that I can't share food with a Northerner. I don't accept this, and they leave over that. And we were like, man, we could have just kept that on the down low. That was easy. Why would you want to come over here?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was doing.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what that's that.
All right, then. Well, they really, I appreciate you calling in and giving me that feedback, and then I'll go ahead and hand off the mic. I know you got a lot to
Yeah,
to cover, so we'll go ahead and run it as long as you can. I mean, we don't have to,
yeah,
we don't have to do 3 hours. Like we could do an hour at a time or whatever you're
yeah,
comfortable with. I know you got other stuff going on, and
yeah.
I'm not trying to delay you. Either from taking a shower or eating or if you got other things pending. So whatever time you got on your hands,
No,
we'll go ahead and
that's
utilize
good.
that.
It's good. I'm good to go till 6 tonight. At the 3 hour thing, man. I did that. I did that for the listeners, man. I
Okay.
wrote 3 hours because I didn't want to leave everybody. I didn't want to leave everybody in suspense and about what was happening with the how everything kind of transpired. But I didn't want to leave nothing out. So I had people, some family members tell me, hey, you sounded tired. Yeah, I was tired. That was exhausting. That was it was a lot. But yeah, 6 o'clock's cool. I'm not. Haven't gone out to dinner the last couple of days because it's trash anyway. And Marcelli's a chef, so he's got something going on for us.
All right.
He's got some ceviche. Yeah, you guys gotta ask him about his recipes because this dude, man, I ain't tasted nothing like this before, even out there. So yeah. Anyway, though.
Oh,
So I'm gonna
before you start,
go ahead.
I don't mean to cut you off,
Yep.
but so we have Fish Slayer SoCal in here, and I just want to verify.
Yep.
Did those
Yep.
$20 hit your books yet?
Hey, they did, man. Hey, thank you very, very much, man. I got it. Yeah, I got the receipt last night.
Okay,
And I
perfect,
really
perfect.
appreciate that, man.
All right,
It
cool.
means a lot to me, and that's gonna help me with my news apps, and half of it actually went to the victim, for restitution. But
Ah,
I got money from my apps on my tablet, so it was
okay,
good, man.
okay,
It
perfect,
was a good
perfect. Just wanted
thing.
to double check. In the future, then
Yeah, thank you, man.
does
Yep.
Jesse have does Jesse that got restitution?
Jesse doesn't have restitution. Nope.
There it is there. All right, then
Jesse does not restitution. I do. And it is there, so yeah,
Okay.
you know what that means.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
All right, all right. Yeah, you know what? I thought
Yep.
about it after I shot. I was like, man, I don't even know if he has restitution, and there it is. There's the answer now.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
all right, I know for next time.
No, that's cool, man. Thank you. Yeah. So anyway, so we're gonna all right. So I talked about what happened leading up to when I decided to come in, when I was all over the news, and I was arrested. So I want I want to express the way that it felt, to be arrested for murder. I've been arrested for a lot of things, in my life. I've talked about that. Parole violations. I've had them cuffs slapped on me many times. But when you hear that you're being charged with murder and those cuffs come on, it's there's a finality to it. Like there's something that tells you when them cuffs are on that this is what your life is going to be forever. And it's hard to explain the way that that feels. It's almost like you're looking through a tunnel and there's nothing there but darkness. That's your future. As soon as they slap them cuffs on and they say, hey, you're under arrest, for 187, do you have anything to say to us? And I lawyered up. I picked up a lawyer from the gate, and I was advised not to speak to the officers about it. Not to say nothing. So I invoked my right, to remain silent. And a part of me inside was like, man, like this is like there's nothing more that's gonna be said. Like he's not gonna argue right there and pull out a legal book and just spit a bunch of penal codes out there, a bunch of criminal law, and the cuffs are gonna come back off. Sorry, Mr. Lopez, we didn't have enough, at this time. No, it was nothing. It was just don't talk to them. The cuffs are on. They're under arrest for murder, and I had to stay silent. That was hard. It was hard to do. It was something that I just wanted to. A part of me wanted to just yell out, and just be like, man, fuck this, like I shouldn't have came in, like this is everything was running through my head, the doubt, the resentments, um, the anger, the fear. It was all coming all at once. So they put the cuffs on, and it's just so matter of fact, like couldn't believe that that this is what they do for a living. They put people like me away. They put cuffs on every day on people, and I'm just nothing but a. I felt like I was just nothing but a carcass, just cuffed up, walked away. So I get put in a room at the police department, and I turned myself in, like I explained earlier. That I turned myself in. I was driven over there by my lawyer, and they had it all arranged so it wouldn't be like a big thing. And the news media was really involved with my situation because of my history and stuff like that. So when I had went into the room,
You have 60 seconds remaining.
man, that 15 minutes went fast, huh? All right, so guess I'll call back, man.
Yeah, we'll be right here. Sorry, I had it on mute.
That's good. It's good.
All right, perfect. Yeah, and I want to definitely, once again give a fish slayer SoCal a shout out, and El Iceman also definitely hooked it up, and oh man, Max, you're cracking me up over here. I just saw that message. So he's been down. He's been down. He's 42 right now, and he's been down. I think I want to say either 2008 or 2009. Hey, trust me. Every time I see her name, I always want to revert to the old ways. All right, all right, all right.
Call is now being
This
recorded.
is Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
David Lopez.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
All right, we're on.
All right, James.
All right, cool, perfect.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, so yep. So yeah, when they took me in, to this, it was like a trailer, and I don't know why that felt worse to me, that it was like a detective's trailer, or whatever, for the homicide unit, and it was behind the Indio Police Department, and when they took me out back into the trailer into these rooms and I could feel the floor was loose, like I don't know why, but I felt disrespected by that. I felt like damn, like this is where I go, like I don't even get I'm not even a cell inside of the department, like I'm in some office, and they handcuffed me to a little rail they have right there, and they put a camera on there. They came in and officially read me my rights, and it was a big thing, and it was like a camcorder, and they're asking me, they're reading my rights. So once again, I just looked at them like they were crazy. I was like, man, I just told you guys, uh, I'm not talking. I invoked my right to silence. And they're just looking at me like all surprised again, and I was just tripping out because it wasn't like what I expected. I thought I was going to come in, get arrested, go to a cell, and get transferred straight to the jail. So another hour or so goes by. I'm still sitting in this little office, this little room, and he comes in. He asked me if I wanted some water, and I told him yeah. He came in and brought a water bottle, but on the side of the water bottle, I'll never forget it because it had a little tag, and it said "Water is life," and it had life really big on it, like in bubble letters. And I was just looking at that life. And he turned it towards me. It's probably it could have been one of their tactics, to freak me out, and it did, man. It was as intended, but I still wasn't going to talk about it. But I just kept looking at that life, and I was like, damn, like I'm gonna do life in prison. So
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
a lot of time goes by. I start making a scene in there, man. I'm mad because he got me cuffed to this thing. I've been in it for hours. I don't understand why it's taking so long. Like they knew I was coming in, so I made a big old scene, and they ended up transporting me to the jail. My co-defendant, I don't want to talk about her and stuff like that, but my co-defendant, I was arrested with a female. She came in with me, and she was going through the process with me. And that was the last time that I had really, seen her. And she ended up getting a deal after, or a accessory after the fact, and she went about her business, and it's what it is, no harm, no foul. But I'm going to the jail, and I walk in, I get stripped out, they're taking everything out of my pockets, and I didn't come in with much, but they put me in another holding cell. It's like one holding cell after another. So I'm in this holding cell, and the gang investigators for the jail, they're trying to figure out what to do with me, because I had a reputation. I had a reputation in the jail. I had a reputation on the streets. I was somebody who was actually known, and I was somebody that usually when I came into the jail, it was problems. They just wanted me out of there as quick as possible. That's usually why they just took me straight to Chino. And they locked me in this holding cell. The holding cell there's nothing to sit on. There's no chair. I'm just, there's no little stool. There's nothing like that. It's got a camera looking down at me. The walls are all tagged on, and everything's all like scratched in. And I read a lot of the graffiti and stuff. Like that's something that I do in holding cells. When I'm in there, I just look around and try to like read the tagging and just to keep my mind occupied. And they have a toilet in there, but I noticed the toilet's on the floor. Like the toilet is a part of the floor. It's like a little square cut out on the left corner of the cell, and it's on the floor though. And they have these little metal bars that go across it, like it looks like a barbecue pit, And there's no flusher, there's no nothing. So I'm just looking at it like, damn, am I gonna have to just stand up and just pee on the floor? And I was thinking, damn, what happens if people got to go, take a crap? Are they gonna? What do? They just sit right over these little bars in the barbecue pit and go? And I was like, damn, this is nasty. I'm staying as far away from this little area as possible. I'm just on the corner of the cell, and I'm sitting there, and it's not hitting me. I'm thinking like, hey, this is your life, dude. I'm like, I should be tapping my forehead, like, think, dude, like, this is all you're gonna have for the rest of your life. This is what it looks like. One holding cell after another. This tagging on the walls. This is what your future is now. And sometimes it's hitting me, sometimes it's not. And at the end of the day, even though that I had my version of events, which were warped, man, they weren't realistic. They were that I'm not taking responsibility mindset, but a part of me knew that was it. This was my future. That darkness at the end of the tunnel. That's all I had. Looking ahead, and I get processed for a while, and the officer comes in, and he's an OG. He a lot of times during those years, they would just call me by my old alias. They didn't call me by my first name, my last name, anything like that. They just came in, they called me by my alias, and they said, look, man, AdSeg is full right now. AdSeg is full, and I had initially asked to go to AdSeg because I was thinking that maybe I could salvage my career, you know. And I was like, man, I've never really crossed into PC or SNY. So I was like, if I just stay in limbo and ad sig, maybe I can stretch this out. Maybe something could change the dynamic. But he was just basically telling me, look, man, we don't got room in ad sig. We're not going to put you in regular PC tanks because we don't trust you. So what we're going to do is we have a tank for people like you. There's guys in there that are fighting homicide cases also, but in other crimes, you know, he said there's nobody in that particular tank for like any sex crimes and stuff like that. He says it's just people that were hardcore. He described them as hardcore gang dropouts, and I was thinking, I was just tripping in my head, you know. I was like, damn, like I never even heard of a tank like that. He said it's a prison experience tank also because of my history. I could only be around people that were that had been in state prison before. So I agreed to go. So I walk in this tank, and it's a tank that looks just like I had actually been in that tank before. It was a general population tank, so I was familiar with the layout of it. But I just seen everybody in that tank, you know, and I just they looked just like everybody else that I had seen on the main line. They were all tatted up. They had like bald heads. They had that look, you know. It was just like walking up to any yard. But this time I got I'm ready for something like this. I'm a little nervous because it's a PC tank, and I don't know, you know. There's guys that I had actually I had ended their careers on the main line. I had made moves on people, and I had put them in PC. They had left the main line because of things that I had done. I had put in the works. I had removed people personally. I had been the one that, you know, I had been the assailant. So these are potentially my victims from the past. So I'm looking around, and sure enough, man, I ended this dude's career, man. I spotted him, and I seen him, and I put him in PC. He's the first person I saw. And he's got that look. He's all tatted up. He's all, you know, he's got that look. So I walk in, and he sees me, I see him, and he comes over, you know, to the bars. It's bars, and I go back towards my bunk. But I figured that everybody was in the day room first. There was 3 cells in the day room when you walk in. It's all bars, like it's like a long hallway, and there's a day room right there. And most of the people stay in that day room because that's where the TV's at. And so when you pass the day room, there's 3 8-man cells. So there's like there's 4 sets of bunks in each cell, and then 1 toilet. And it's got the old school bars like Chino, and you know, this is what I know, you know. So I go into the back cell, and they told me that there's a bed available in there. So I went and dropped my stuff off, and I came right out of the cell, and they let me go into the day room because I'm just like, you know, that's what it is. I'm gonna deal with it right now, you know. So he comes up to me, and he's talking to me, and he's just like, hey man, no, it's all water under the bridge, man. He goes, you're that's it, you locked it up. I said, well, shit, apparently, you know. And there's other people that they're kind of, because remember, they're getting the newspapers also. My case is being published in the newspapers, you know, damn near on a daily basis at this time. So they're asking me questions about, you know, that there's a word, it's a term in here, it's called a sleeper. A sleeper is somebody who acts like they're PC or SNY. They come into those tanks, and they look for targets that are like high-priced targets, and they'll take them out, try to kill them. So it's something that we've heard about. I've never personally seen it because, in my opinion, I don't see anybody that would be willing to leave the main line to come into PC to take somebody out. Like, it just doesn't, to me, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, to come into PC or an SNY tank, like in the county jail, it's pretty easy to go into one of those tanks. You could just refuse to go into a general population tank, and they're going to put you in.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
So they're a little bit more nervous in county jail, but people ain't trying to do that. People ain't trying to, because that'll stick on your file, you know. So people are looking at me like I could be a potential sleeper and whatnot. But so they're kind of staying away from me a little bit. And a few dudes are talking to me, and they're asking me, you know, right away they want to ask me about my case and shit like that. And I ain't talking about my case at all with nobody, you know. And it's pretty small. It's a pretty like confined area, you know. And I wasn't feeling it. I didn't want to be in that tank. I wasn't gonna roll it up out of a tank, but I was uncomfortable with the people that were just trying to ask me too many questions about my tank, you know. And I didn't know that tank was, the people in there it was a SNY. It was specifically for an SNY gang. There's gangs on this side, and there's tons of gangs in PC and SNY. I did not know that at the time. I'm looking at like you come to this side, like that's it, you know. But I learned that there was a there was a gang in that tank, and they were the ones that were looking at me because I was an enemy to them. What I represented before was an enemy to that specific gang, you know. And so I was somebody who would have been like it would have been good if I was in there for the wrong reasons, because they would have took a notch on their belt, you know. And I just wasn't feeling it, so I called my attorney and I asked him, hey man, can you get me moved, man? Just get me moved. That there's somebody in here, he keeps sweating me, he's asking me about my case, and I ain't trying to do nothing to him at this time, you know. So it happened. They came, they put in a bed move, and they moved me to one of the other tanks. And this is where there was a lot of widows in this tank. And that's when I realized, I was like, man, you know, I'm just in a different environment. I'm not used to being around people like this at this time. And there was some dude in there. He just kept running his mouth, and I'm just staying quiet. He don't know nothing about me. They're seeing the newspaper, you know. They get those papers too. But I seen him, man, and they just in the back of my mind, the things that he was in there for. He was in PC with for. It wasn't sitting right with me, you know. So he just kept running his mouth to other people, like he was big and bad. And I was like, you know what, fuck this dude. So I ran him down and I assaulted him, you know. I hit him hard. I stayed on him. I did a ground and pound on him, and I got him good. And so the cops ran in there, you know. They stopped the scene and put handcuffs on me. You know, they didn't spray me. At this time I wasn't trying to get pepper spray. So as soon as they ran in, I got off of the dude and just kind of stayed back, and they cuffed me up, and they're talking shit. They're like, this is why we don't put people like you in these tanks, you know. So sure enough, put me right back in that other tank. So now when I walk in, the dudes are looking at me and they're like, yeah, we knew that wasn't going to work, you know. And they thought it was funny because I fucked one of them dudes up, you know. So they knew that I was willing to fight. So when they put me in there, I noticed that they didn't want me to be in the cell that I was in before. There was an open bed, but they're like, yeah, you go in the front cell. And I'm looking at the dudes in the front cell, you know, that they were, you know, because there's 3 cells. So the last cell, that was where like that's where I had my stuff at first, you know. But they had looked at me like differently after I had called my attorney and asked them to get me moved, you know. And in my head, I was just looking at it like, man, I don't want to be in here with these motherfuckers. I'm not obligated to nobody. I don't need to explain myself why I don't want to be in a tank. If I don't want to be in a tank, I don't got to be in a tank, you know. I felt real entitled at that time. I looked at it like, fuck these dudes. I don't want to be around these dudes. There's some weird dudes in here asking me weird questions. I'm gone. I'm fucking PC. You know, I do what I want now. So when I went back in there, they put me in they had my stuff. They told me to put my stuff in a front cell. Well, I felt disrespected by that. But this is how I found out that tank was a gang. That the majority of the dudes were gang members, because there was a big ass dude in there, you know, and it was just you know, like I told the listeners before.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
I had to make decisions that I felt were gonna put me in the best situation in jail and in prison. And the only way I knew how to do that was through violence. So I figured that this motherfucker's in here, he's making the calls, he's a big ass dude, so this is the first person I'm gonna run up on in this tank. So yeah, I'm gonna have to call back in.
Okay, we'll be here. We're waiting for you.
All right.
All right. So once she hits that 60-second mark, you guys already know these calls get cut off, and they normally place them and get connected relatively quickly. So I guess we just have to wait here while he calls. And let me look at some of the messages, because I definitely lost track a few minutes ago. My daughter came in and she almost knocked down my computer. Luckily, it didn't disconnect the microphone or anything, or did it get shut off. So my wife ended up taking her with her, because she was practically being a Tasmanian devil. Yes.
Call
This
is now
is
being
Global
recorded.
Tel-Link. You have a prepaid call from
David Lopez.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Um, yeah. Um, yeah. So yeah, my celly was asking if Iceman was tuning in, because he sent his, I told him his, that he sent his respects to Jesse yesterday, and then he sent his respects to Ali Analyst also.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I'm sorry.
So
I'm definitely slipping right here. I should have given everybody a shout out. And thank you for reminding me. Yeah, we have M Star Media in here. We have
yeah, Star
Gary's
Media.
cousin,
Yep.
Marlene in here. We got
Yep.
Fish Slayer SoCal. We got El Iceman, and we also got Mad
Yep.
Max 408. So all the all the supporters are definitely in here. Everybody's listening to your story, and they're asking a lot of questions. So
That's cool, man.
they're definitely supporting.
That's cool, man. And yeah, we send ours to all them, and thank you for your support. So yeah, so I get in this tank, man, and I see this dude, and he's the one that you could tell right away that he's the one that everybody's on his jock, everybody's like he's the one that's kind of like organizing things. And this is what I noticed also. I was like, okay, well, even though this is this type of tank, like there is people that are calling shots in here. There's people that everybody's kind of going to, and they look the part, man. They don't look like the tank that they try to put me in. Like these dudes in there, they look like weird, man. They everybody looked like they were there for some funny shit, and I just wasn't feeling that. But this tank is back. Like these look like gang members. These look like dudes that were on the main line forever. They got the right tattoos. I recognize them. I know some of them. We got connections and shit. That we're talking about, and they even know why I left. Like I told them why I left. I told them who it was that was making me feel this way. They all kind of felt the same way about this person. Like, yeah, it's just funny and stuff, some other shit. And at that time in the county jail, a lot of people, they were trying to get close to people that had murder cases because we were their ticket home. If we were to say something about our case um, to somebody like this, they're going to be right on the phone with the district attorney. They're going to write them a letter, and we see people that were in orange all the time on other people's cases. So that's what was in my mind. I'm like, this dude's trying to fish. This dude's trying to get too close to me. I don't want to be around him. He's funny anyway. And I wasn't like, at that time, I didn't really want to go after this dude because I wasn't trying to fight nobody. But when I went into that other tank, um, I definitely wanted to fight everybody in that fucking tank. It was just, yeah, I wasn't ready to be exposed to people like that. I still ain't. I still can't stand people like that. To each their own, and that's their business, and I don't want to know and all that. But it just, I just wasn't ready to be that accepting of what people were in here for. So I go to this dude, man, and I still remember his name. I won't put it out there, but he's a pretty heavy set dude, and he looked like he was in charge. So I slid up on him, like, "What's up, homie? You're the one that had to move my shit or what?" And he was kind of taken back a little bit. He was like, "Man, fool just came up to me all crazy." It kind of threw him off, but he could tell, like, um, the way that I was coming off towards him. Something told him that I would be a better ally than an enemy because I seen later that tank I would have got fucked up. Like I would have went after him and I would have took him down and it would have been pretty easy for him, but I would have got jumped by the whole tank. I've seen it happen many times after that, and I knew that
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I was playing with fire right there. I learned that later. This time I'm just like, man, fuck this PC dude. I slid up on him and said my piece, and he was like, nah, it's just that we wanted to keep that bed open. And he started explaining himself, and he told me, like, let me come over here and talk to you. So he kind of like was hollering at me and everything, and he kind of explained himself why he left the bed open over there and whatnot, and he didn't want me in there, and because of these reasons. And it sounded reasonable to him, but it sounded like he was breaking it down. And to me, I was like, all right, well, at least I got my piece. I said my piece. Ain't nobody punking me, and nobody doing this and that. Like I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna make this sale the best sale in this little tank. So they still haven't banged on me. I'm hearing I'm hearing the name of a gang, right? And it's something that we all heard on the main line that these dudes were over there. In SNY and PC, we heard this name of this gang, but I'm kind of hearing it around. I'm seeing it written on the walls. I'm reading the tagging. I'm like, damn, this shit really is something. So I learned what it was uh, the hard way. But I don't want to say the hard way because nothing happened to me, but I got close, man. I'm sitting there and I've been in this tank for probably, I don't know, a few weeks already. I kind of see that some of these dudes are from this, but I don't know how many of them there are. But I can tell, they're all kind of interacting with each other. And I'm like, all right, these dudes are affiliated with this gang. So I'm gonna just go ahead and just let them do them. I'm gonna be respectful, but I'm gonna just chill. So some dude comes in the tank, and you know, I hadn't been in there. I hadn't been in there that long, probably I don't know, maybe a couple months. I don't know, maybe a couple weeks. It just felt like I was still fresh in that tank, and I was still trying to figure everybody out. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching a movie, and I still remember the movie. It was Dracula 2000. They have benches in there. They're like they have three metal tables, and they have two phones. So on the metal tables, they got these little benches, and you could kind of sit, you could kind of lean back on the bench and watch TV. So I'm just chilling and watching TV, and there's a remote right there, and some dude gets in there, and he's acting kind of arrogant, like he knows everybody. He's Mr. Popular, and he comes in and he gets the remote, and he changes the channel. And I was like, damn, like it was just it triggered an insecurity. I was thinking like, damn, this motherfucker's just gonna walk up and change the channel. So I felt disrespected by that, and the way that I know to deal with disrespect is by violence. So I had told him, hey, homie, I'm watching that. And he's like, I'll change it back right now, but he kind of just disregarded me, so it triggered me. So I got up, I turned around, and I hit him pretty hard in the face. I broke his nose. There was blood everywhere. I cracked him good, dropped him, and he kind of fell into this area. But I noticed that I had already seen a couple fights at this time while I was in the tank, and they kind of just let it be. But I noticed that when he fell and he kind of tumbled towards the toilet area, and I was gonna get on him, that people stopped me. They're like, no, just. They're like, hey, you can't be doing that. And I'm like, what the fuck you mean I can't be doing that? Fuck this dude. He disrespected me. He changed the channel. And they're like, nah, he's one of ours. And I can see that these other fools are mad, and they're already thinking like, man, fuck this dude. Let's get this dude. And they're talking about me. And one thing I learned at that moment though is that a lot of people that were involved with that particular scenario, that gang, is a lot of them dudes they were afraid. They got involved with that for whatever reason, and those individuals in particular, they would look for any way to avoid getting off on somebody that might hurt them. So that fool got up and he's like, oh, you fucked up, you made a bad call, you shouldn't have hit me, boo 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 boo. And these other dudes are already talking like, what's up, we're gonna have to get off on this dude, and they're talking about me, and they're like, that other big ass dude, the one that I had slid up on, he was like, nah, he made he said that this dude was a member of their gang at the time, but he was not in good standing. He wasn't enough to get fucked up, but he had actually stepped away from it, and that so they used that technicality. We're like, well, technically he's not one of ours. He says that he was, and so they used that right.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
They used that to try to give me, to give me a pass. And so I was like, damn. I was thinking in my head like, damn, I almost, I could see some of these fools are mad, but as soon as they found their way out, all of a sudden it was cool again. So I kept an eye on these dudes. Because I thought, yeah, these are the motherfuckers right here that I'm gonna have to take care of in the future. And I only have one way of doing things. I have the way that I was taught on the main line. And this is a whole different dynamic, but I'm thinking, man, I could use my skills and I can have all these dudes freaking chopping each other up in no time. So they let me off the hook, but once again, this dude, the big dude, he turned out to be pretty cool. He was actually a crazy motherfucker. I found out later, but he told me later that, yeah, that I think that you would have been better for us than these dudes right here. And I know you were fucking up, but I gave you ways out because I thought that you could be beneficial to us in the future. And that's smart, and I ended up staying in that tank with him for I stayed in the county for 5 years. So I was in that particular tank at that time for 2 years. Stayed there with them for 2 years. So about, I want to say, months were going by, and now somebody came into the tank, and this is a few months after I first got there. Maybe I'm gonna say like 3 months, 4 months. I'm chilling with them. They actually moved me back out of the first cell, and they wanted me back in the last cell. they wanted to be with all them, and I ended up getting pretty cool. You meet people in the county jail, um, for the first time, but when you spend 24 hours a day with these people, you're going to get to know them pretty well. You're going to get to know their personality. You might not know everything about their history, but you're going to kind of see like who's cool and who's not. You know, you're gonna make friends pretty quick. You know, at least acquaintances. So I'm I'm back in the third cell. We're in the day room chilling. Some fool comes in and he's tripping. He's got a he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's a pretty big dude, and he says something to a guy that's been in that tank for six about 6 7 years at that time. And he says something to him. He gets crazy with him, and I thought in my head this would be a good opportunity to try to let them know where I stand and to try to gain allies. So as soon as he said something to the dude that was in there, I came up and I laid him out. I dropped him, I hit him hard, dropped him, and I was on him. And then that's when the whole tank jumped on him. There was like, man, everybody, this dude was on the ground, and you know, it turned out to be like I was hitting them, and then they pulled me to the side, and then like 3 or 4 dudes jumped on him, started stomping him out, kicking him, and then more people came. And by the time this dude, you know, they were done with this dude was already been punched probably by 25 people in the tank. So I seen like, oh shit, that's what happens, you know, and that's what I was. I was that dude. I walked in arrogant. I walked in tripping, and I slid up on somebody. But yeah, I would have been underneath 25 motherfuckers, you know, if they had made that decision. So that kind of woke me up, you know. Like I thought I was gonna be the one that took care of this real quick. You know, the cops ran in there, took him out. You know, they rescued him. It was a big old thing. And in the county, they let a lot of incidents go. They come in, they check your hands, but there's really no write-ups or nothing like that. They'll try to see who's involved, and everybody just stays quiet, and it's really just that, you know. And that's what makes that place so dangerous, you know. So this had been happening for years. Um, he would come in. I got real close. I was chilling with a group of people, and I was predominantly just chilling with members of that particular gang. So years were going by. I'm going to court, and my situation in my murder case, I wasn't taking responsibility for my case even at this time. I'm just going through the motions. You know, I'm saying what I got to say. You know, I got an attorney. I'm just doing what I got to do. I'm talking to my family, but I'm already behaving like what I thought a lifer would behave like, because most of the lifers that I was around when I was in state prison, they were from the 180s and stuff like that, and so that's how they were. They remember, I don't give a fuck. So that was the belief right there. That was the false belief right there that I had. I don't give a fuck whatever it is. You know, they're not going to give me no more time on my murder case. I mean, what's more than life? So that's how I was behaving. So I ended up hurting somebody pretty bad. Um, After the second year I was there, I had been fighting a lot of people. I had been in numerous assaults, numerous incidents. I had been taken out of the tank. Uh, uh, um, I had been processed. I had been read my rights. None of that fazed me. So 2 years later, um, I ended up getting somebody pretty good. Me and another individual that I knew from out in the streets. We seen somebody. He asked the wrong question about somebody that we knew, and we just took that opportunity. But we were drunk at that time, and we beat that dude so bad that I was covered in blood when they came in. There was blood everywhere. The dude was all fucked up, and I started being real difficult with the officers. They tried to get me, restrain me. I wouldn't let them restrain me. It was a big old thing. So they were done with me. They were like, you know what, fuck this dude. We got a place for him. So they left me in a holding cell for, man, I was in there for probably 20 hours in a holding cell. You know, they wanted me to detox because I was so drunk.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
I was yelling at the cell. I was talking shit to everybody, and yeah, they said that they got a place for me. So I'll call back right now, James.
All right, perfect. Thank you. All right, so right now I put a message about setting up a tutorial on how to do a step by step. I was being sarcastic about that. I'm not gonna do all of that. Um, but what I might do is put up another video like the one I just put up a little while ago, or maybe I'll do a Rick roll video. We'll see what I come up with. But what I did do is the other day was to actually help people if there's anybody out there that's interested in reaching out to any of these gentlemen, or if anybody has a loved one in the California Department of Corrections and they want to reach out to them through the Getting Out app. I actually put a video out on how to actually add these loved ones onto their account and be able to reach out to them. So hopefully that helps some people get in contact with their family members.
This call
This
is
is
now being
Global
recorded.
Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
David Lopez.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
James.
Yeah, perfect. We're here. We can hear you.
All right. Yeah. So, they had transferred me out. They were done with me. Indio jail. They were like, yeah, we got a place for you. So they sent me to the Southwest Detention Center in Marietta. And I tripped out on it when I got to Southwest because it looked like a prison. I was told that it was supposed to be a women's prison, or I don't know how the county acquired this property, but it looked like a prison. It looked like a 180 design level 4, to be honest with you. The inside of it, the way the pods were, they had pods that were like, you go in and there's A, B, and C pods. Well, there's 4, huh? Yeah, A, B, C, and D. But they called it 1, 2, 3 because I know we had C3. G and then yeah, A through G. Yeah. So I was in you walk in, you go up, it's long hallways. They process me. I'm walking through long hallways. I'm going down, and they're escorting us. There's a metal detector every 20 feet. It's a hallway, so then I turn, and man, I get lost. I'm walking through so many different hallways. I'm turning left. I'm turning right. I'm going through a metal detector here, a metal detector there. Then I cross in. I pass a yard. It's like a big group yard, like we had in the shoe. It's not that big. It's probably 20 feet by 20 feet, something like that. And I passed that. I could see it through the windows. They open up another door. I turn left, and then I start seeing there's a cell block. And 180 cell blocks are small. They're not usually the way they're designed because they're like octagons. So this is like an octagon also. And the way the cell blocks are, there's 180s have A, B, and C section, and the tower that's in the middle has a 180-degree view so they can see into every cell. And this one had the same setup. They had a central bubble where the officers were at, and they had a 180-degree view where they can look into the yard. Day room 1, day room 2, day room 3, and day room 4. Now, day room 1 was it was for guys that had I heard they had weird charges and shit like that. Day room 2 was the hole. Day room 3 was where I was at. I was in a pod called C3, and day room 4 was a big ass dorm. It was a non-prison experience dorm that was PC, so you could probably use your imagination and to figure out what kind of people were in there. So I had to go to the cells. There was 16 cells in C3 and 16 cells in C2. So 8 cells on the top, 8 cells on the bottom. A pod had, they looked like they had 15 or, probably about 15 cells on the top, 15 cells on the bottom. It was a bigger pod, and I could see it through the window. And I'm going into C3. So when I go in there, I'm thinking, damn, I'm like in a little 180 section. This is there's one staircase, there's 8 cells on the bottom, 8 cells on the top, there's a shower to the side. I was thinking, well, okay, this is more like it. So I go up the stairs, they bring me in my cell, and I know my cellie because we were in the tank together in Indio, fighting our murder cases together for the 2 years that I was there. He had been kicked out just before me. So what I noticed about him was that he had affiliated himself with that SMY gang, and I never had at that point. But I was like, oh, my celly's involved. Um, this pod is specifically for that gang also. They had other people in there, but most of the guys in there were from that gang. There's 32 cells, because there's two people a cell. So 32, I'm sorry, 32 beds, you know, 16 on the top, 16 on the bottom. Most of them had cellies and stuff like that. And I would say 27, 26 people were affiliated with that gang. It was a lot. So that's where I'm at. My celly's a porter. Most of the guys that were in there, they were cool. I looked the part. I talked the talk. I had to, I knew how to carry myself. So I kind of just stayed out the way. Now, one thing I noticed with that tank was that there was a lot of drugs in there. Particularly, there was a lot of meth, and there was some heroin was going through there. But the listeners know by now that my drug of choice was meth. So in Indio jail, we had kind of created like a little community within ourselves. So we kind of shared what came in, and things come and go. I'm not going to get into details how it came in, but one thing about the prison system and the jail system is there's a will, there's a way. So in this pod, they had regular meth coming in, and I'm chilling with my celly, and he don't get high, he don't mess around, but every once in a while he would take something my way. But in this pod, the dudes that were there, they were kind of leaving me out on things. They were like, well, you're not involved, you're not a member, so the things that come in, we're going to share amongst the members. So I was kind of like, in my head, I thought, man, fuck these dudes. It started my wheels turning. It started my wheels turning. So something happened and somebody came in, and my celly, he signed up for everything because he was fighting the death penalty at that time. So he was here he was incarcerated for multiple murders, so he was fighting the death penalty, and he didn't give a fuck. So somebody came in that had to get dealt with. They fell out of favor with that gang, and it's easy to.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
It's way easier to fall out of the favor of S and Y gangs than it is the mainline gangs. Like, you can fall out of favor for a slew of reasons. Somebody came in, he did something, fell out of favor, and my celly was like, well, I'm gonna take care of it. So when my celly took care of it, I jumped in with it, and I started. My celly hit him, and I ran up and I hit him also, and then I stayed and I was kicking him until the cops came, and so the other members, they were kind of looking at me like, damn, all right, well, this dude, he's willing to commit violence for us, but they kept asking me, well, you want to be a part of this, and I always told them, nah, I'm good, but when they refused to share the meth with me, and I started seeing that, I was like, man, well, this looks like a means to an end for me. It started to have my wheels turning. So I eventually agreed. I was in that tank with them. I stayed in county for 5 years, Indio for 2 years. I stayed in that tank with them for almost 3 years in that tank. So somewhere along the lines in that tank, I had actually joined that particular group of people. I had become a member, and I committed nonstop violence in that tank, nonstop. It was just, I looked at it like the more violent I was, because I eventually took control of that tank. And to do that, I had to eliminate the people first that I felt were going to get in my way to prevent me from. I wanted everything to come to me. Anybody that stood in my way had to be eliminated. I would come up with different ideas and different strategies, and I was just doping some people. I would do everything I had to do to eliminate the people that stood in my way, and then I started to bring people in that were new, that would come in just like me. They weren't associated or nothing like that, but I started to bring people into my circle, and I started to get my little wrecking crew. I was picking up the youngsters that were in for murder, that were in for violent crimes, and I nurtured them. I made them feel like they were home when they got there, when that they were welcome, because I knew how to operate. I knew that the key to my success was to have some crazy ass youngsters around me at all times that were willing to commit violent acts for me. I did that. That's how I picked up my in-house kidnapping case. That's why I have a gang charge attached to it, because I was just doing what I do. Somebody did something stupid. I wanted to test somebody, so I took them in the cell, had them going with me. I talked to the dude that was in trouble. The guy that I had go in there with us, he hit the dude, dropped him. The dude panicked. He tried to run out of the cell. I chased him down, dragged him back in the cell. Everybody was laughing at him because he's going to run into a tank and just get fucked up anyway. You know, he can't just run out. The doors are locked, you know, but his cell door was cracked at that time. It was open. So when he ran out, I ran out, grabbed him, dragged him back in the cell. Homeboy put hands on him pretty good. I stopped it. You know, I thought that was enough. And I ended up getting, I got that kidnapping charge because it all happened on.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
So that's pretty much what my county jail stay was like. You know, when I had got convicted. I had got convicted of my murder case. I went to trial. Eventually went back to Indio, and they weren't happy to have me. I had been taken out. I had been classified as predatory. I had been classified as predatory at that time. That's all possible, I think. I thought it was yours. Yeah, so I had been classified as predatory at that time. I had been violent. I was calling shots. I was a gang leader. I had sewed up everything and established everything just like I had done, you know, in general population. And I was being investigated for a number of things at any given time. And they eventually had enough of it, so they put me in the hole. They put me in administrative segregation. So I went to the hole. They tried to punish me by putting me in with all the GP. They had another ad seg on the other side of the jail, and they're like, "Look, we're not going to put you in the SNY ad seg that's next to this tank because you have too much influence, and you're still gonna call violent shots and stuff like that." So they put me in another side of the jail with the GPs in their ad seg to try to isolate me. Well, they put me with my people. You know, I knew them all. You know, these are my people. You know, from before. And I walk in there and it's like a family reunion. You know, they know what it is. They're happy to see me. They're all talking to me. We're sharing food and coffee and whatnot. You know, and it was easy time for me. So that didn't work. So they said I'm supposed to trial. So they sent me back to the Indio jail. And Indio jail kicked me in that seg. And they just said, "Look, AdSeg's full right here." They put me in an isolation tank for a while, and they told me, "Look, we're gonna kick you out of AdSeg, and we're gonna put you back in the tank that you left in, but you have to agree that you're not gonna harm anybody. You're not gonna be fighting and doing stuff like that." And I was like, "Man, Scout's honor, you know, I ain't gonna do it." Sure enough, I did it. I probably assaulted 5 or 6 more people just while I was in that tank at that time. And I had got convicted. Of second-degree murder. They gave the special what do we call it, the allegation of use of a firearm resulting in use of death. Found that true, and they sentenced me, sent me out. So when they transferred me to the Riverside jail, and I didn't know I had this kidnapping case pending. I didn't know nothing about this at this time. You know, I hadn't received that. I had done the incident. The incident was in the past, but I didn't know that I was gonna. You know, I had so many issues and so many incidents that I had done in the county. I had read my rights so many times. I had them memorized, and I didn't know what they had in store for me. So when they convicted me, they sentenced me. I got 42 to life. You know, I'm ready to go to state prison. So I get there to the Riverside County Jail. We call it the chain because they chain you up, they transfer you. Everybody's chained up. We got the leg shackles on, and we got the waist shackles, and we're handcuffed to the waist shackles. So it's a giant it's like 40, 50 people at a time catching the chain. Means we're all getting chained up and we're getting transferred up to state prison. So we leave from state prison from Riverside County Jail. So they had put me in Riverside County Jail, and I'm in the holding cell for 18 hours, man. You stay there. You get there the morning before, probably around maybe 5 or 6 in the morning. You arrive to the jail, and you don't leave it to prison until about 2 or 3 o'clock the next morning. That's when they actually pull you out and they take you to Wasco or Delano, which is the reception center. So I'm in this damn cell for 18 hours. They do a final count. Yeah, we're gonna leave because they do a final count
You have 60 seconds remaining.
and they call my name and they tell me, Lopez, we have to scratch you from the chain because you have pending charges. So I asked them for what? They're like, for kidnapping. And the crazy part in my head is I had no idea what they were talking about because I had done so much shit in my life. I had no idea really what it was, that they were getting me for. Yeah, I'm gonna call back, James.
Okay, we'll be here. We got a few people listening, so they're waiting.
That's cool.
All right, so right now when he calls back, I'll go ahead and read off the message that Eric put on there, his brother, and then he'll go ahead and continue with his story. And then I see it. Is my audio laggy or is it? Can you guys see hear it right? Because I see right here on my computer, it's showing up red and an orange, which means that I might be buffering. So hopefully that's not happening. I just read a nice man's comment. I wonder if he's hella big or a midget. Oh man, I'll ask him right now when he calls back.
This call is now
This is
being recorded.
Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
David Lopez.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello,
All
David.
right, James.
Hey, so before you
Yeah.
start, I want to read off a few of these messages here. We got a message from your brother
Okay.
Eric here. I'm just trying to find it
Yeah.
on the screen here. Let me see where's that. Okay, so he put so it's from Eric. It says, "Brother, I'm so proud,
Yeah.
so proud of you, the man that you are, that you have become."
That's cool, man. Yeah, that's my little bro right there, man. Love my little bro. So shout out to him. It's cool
That's
that he's
what's up.
listening.
And then I
Yeah.
got a question from Elias man. So he wants to know.
Uh-huh.
Oh, let me find it. So he says. I wonder if he's hella big or or a hella big or a midget. So what? How tall are you?
I'm 5'11". I'm
Okay.
5'11", and I'm about 200. I'm about 220 pounds. Hey,
Yeah.
I know some people though. I know some people that are small as hell, and they are just little wrecking balls.
I know
Yeah, I
exactly
trip
what you're
out on
talking
these
about.
little guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. There's a
Yeah.
guy. There's a guy that I work with, and he's little, man. He's like probably like, I don't know how big is Joe. Yeah, he's about 5'2", probably about 120 pounds, and he's all tatted up all over his face and neck and everything, his head, and he's a little violent motherfucker. I think about this dude, like, because he calls out a lot of people and he says a lot of shit. And I think, man, one of these dudes is gonna take your head off. He's used to being on the streets with a gun. So yeah, he's here for murders and stuff. And I just think about that. Yeah, I'm a pretty big dude. So that worked in my favor.
And he put another
Yeah,
comment
man.
on here. I want to read it off because I think it's funny. He put
Yeah,
so he put back in my
that's cool.
day, they had weights and everyone was super huge. Guys had crazy names like Hulk, Superman, Thumper, Bumper, Bull, and etc.
Yeah, yeah, they did. And I remember from the dudes
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
from the 80s and 70s. Them dudes were fucking yoked, man. There were some big motherfuckers in here. They did have weights. They took our weights around like I think 1994 or something like that, or 96. I wasn't in prison at that time. You know. Yeah, that's funny, man. Yeah, I had a stupid nickname. Uh, yeah. So anyway, I did yeah. So when they pulled my name, they pulled my ticket at at 4 in the morning and told me that I got a hold. I have a pending charges, so they're gonna scratch me from the chain, and they told me it's for kidnapping. And I just looked at the cop like, are you fucking serious? Like I was thinking, yeah, who the fuck did I kidnap? And I was like I was running through like situations in my head. I was like, damn, maybe that could have been taken as that. That could have been taken as that. I was like, damn, I did a lot of shit, man. Maybe who knows? And with the incident that happened, I was like, damn, I didn't even punch the dude, but I did drag him back in the cell, and I held him while the dude, put hands on him, but I even stopped it. So I was like, you know what? I was like, man, fuck this, And I knew that they wanted me, man. I had kicked up so much dust, man. I had hurt so many people in the county jail. Um, I had other people committing violent acts for me. There was drugs everywhere. It was a pandemonium. And when I went to court for it, I had a lawyer, and I told him that basically, look, man, I want this done quick. I want to get the fuck out of here. And they didn't really have nowhere to put me. They tried to send me back to Southwest. Southwest didn't want me. They're like, we already got rid of this problem. So they tried to send me back to Indio. Indio kicked me out. They tried to send me to Riverside jail. Riverside didn't want me, because I was a problem. I didn't give a fuck. So they were like, man, we don't want to deal with this fucking dude. So they ended up sending me. The only jail that would take me was Banning jail, and I didn't want to stay in Banning. So that added to the stress. I was like, man, I'm gonna. I told the officers, man, I'm gonna fuck a lot of people up in this jail. I'm just letting you guys know. You guys better just send me to ADSEG, back in Riverside somewhere, because I wanted to be with my people in ADSEG. And I was actually trying to get back to the hole somewhere, because I knew Banning didn't have an ADSEG, and they weren't trying to hear it. And I did. I put hands on motherfuckers there. I got somebody real good right there, and they just put me right back. And I was thinking, damn, these dudes are serious. They're gonna really let me just fuck these dudes up in this tank, back to back to back, and they're gonna keep putting me back. So I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna try to get this out of the way as quick as possible. So when they offered me the time, they said, look, you can do it concurrent. You're gonna have to take another strike, 15 years. We're gonna throw a gang charge on there, and I had that coming. Maybe not for the kidnapping, because it was. I mean, that's what it was. So I have to take responsibility for it. But it was a small incident. But I had more time coming. I had a strike coming. I had hurt so many people at this point. I knew what it was. It wasn't like I wasn't. It was a form of taking responsibility, but it was more like it was still out of an act of arrogance. Like, go ahead, tack on the time. Like, I got this coming. Ha ha ha. Like, it's just what it is. I wanted to get out of the county jail, so I signed a deal that time. It was a plea bargain, and I was gone. So now I'm getting put back on the chain, and I'm going to state prison. So things are different now because I've never been to state prison on this side. I hadn't experienced this. I had my indeterminate shoe. I had been to the hole. They gave me a chance to come out of the hole for my indeterminate. I went right back. So I had forgotten that I paroled from the hole. So when I get to R&R, I got sent to Wasco State Prison at the time. And it's the same. Wasco State Prison and North Kern State Prison, they look identical. Wasco State Prison it's the meat locker. You walk in there, throw your stuff. And this is my third time to a reception, that type of reception. So like I said, I threw all my clothes in there. You got to stand in a row. But now they run you through a body scanner. That was the first time I had seen that. I had to stand there on some little like step, and they put me in some machine that looked like a giant metal detector, but it moved back and forth so they can see, because a lot of people swallow stuff, a lot of people hoop stuff, and I don't really want to get into what hooping is, but it's fucking nasty, but a lot of people do that, and they want to see if you got anything hidden in your rectum or your stomach. So they put me through that machine. It's the same thing. It's 20 motherfuckers naked in a row. Everybody's turning a certain way, spreading their cheeks, bending down. They got 2, 3 motherfuckers walking behind you with mag lights, looking at your asshole, and you move on. And it's crazy that we get desensitized to that type of humiliating situation, but it's whatever. I'm just happy to be back in prison. This is what I know. I go there, and I'm walking with everybody, but they're asking us for prior CDC numbers, and I have a prior CDC number. I give them my number, and they look at me twice. They look down at the screen, and they tell me, hey, go. They said this one's a lockup, and I'm thinking, a lockup. So they walk up to me and they cuff me up and they put me in a stand-up cage, and I'm thinking, damn, why am I in this cage? And they're like, yeah, because you from the hole. You were doing a term, you pulled from the hole, so you're going to be going back to the hole here. And I was like, fuck. I was thinking in my head, man, like, damn, I thought I was gonna go to a cell and whatnot. So I'm in this cage. It's a stand-up cage. It looks like a phone booth, and it's all mesh. So I spent probably 8 hours in that cage. They took the handcuffs off, but I'm just sitting there. They give me a sack lunch, and I kind of like sit on the floor like in a little ball, and just sitting there. So 8 hours goes by. They come pick me up, turn around, cuff up. I know this walk. I've walked to the hole many times. So boom, they grab my elbow or my arm, and they escort me, and it's two officers escorting me. They got one that's holding my arm and one that's kind of like he's leading the way in front of, like he's about 3 or 4 feet in front of us. And every time we turn a corner, he yells escort. Every time, escort. Door opens. They stop me. He comes out, looks around, escort. And go left. It's like this Wasco and Delano. When you leave R&R, it's like a giant hub. They have a bubble in the middle where the officers are at, and it's a secured bubble, and that's where they get their weapons from. They have non-lethal weapons that they give there, like pepper spray. They have flash grenades. They have block guns. We call them Bertha. It's like a giant gun, and it shoots. It has like a cylinder, and it shoots these non-lethal rounds at you, and those motherfuckers hurt. I've been hit by them several times, and yeah, they hurt. So they're meant to like incapacitate you or drop you. So they get those from there. So you see that bubble. So I walk out and I see the bubble, and there's different gates that surround the bubble. Each gate goes to a different yard. So there's D yard is for Wasco and Delano has the hole, and they have other buildings. There's D1, D2, and D3 on one side, and D4, D5, and D6 on the other side, and they're like square buildings. Everything's symmetrical. What they have on one side of the yard for 1, 2, and 3, they'll have on the other 4, 5, and 6. Well, D6 is a hole. So I go out, face the bubble, I turn left, and a giant gate opens. And when the gate opens to the left, they take me down that way. It's a walkway in between two buildings. So I'm going, and they're still calling out escort every time, every so often we walk. I'm looking above us, because above us they have like a giant, they have a tower up there, and the tower they have catwalks and walkways that are way up above you, and they have officers up there that work in there, and they have live rounds. So if you stab somebody at one of those yards, they tell you to get down, and you don't get down, they're going to kill you. They're going to shoot you right in your head. And they train all day long. In the background of prison, you hear gunshots outside of the prison gates because they have shooting ranges. And what they're doing is they're shooting to kill, because they have to make sure that if they kill you, that they don't kill anybody else on accident, and that they don't kill staff. So when they shoot you, they're going to shoot you right in your head. And you're warned, and there's warning signs all over the walls when you walk through. It says warning. It says the warning is no warning shots will be fired, period. There's no warning shots. They shoot you, they're going to kill you. So that's something we understand. We walk by, we look up, we see the officer right there. He's got a Mini 14. You could tell it's a live round. It's not Bertha, and they have it ready to go at all times. So I walk in, I look up at him, and I go left. 1, 2, and 3 is the regular buildings. 4, 5, and 6. 4 and 5 are regular buildings, but D6 is something different. So I walk up. I pass D4, D5, and then there's another gate, and it opens. I walk through that gate. There's another door that opens. And once again, I walk through that door. They yell escort, so everybody knows there's an intake coming in. They turn me. There's two sides. You can go onto the left side or the right side, because you're going to walk right in and see a wall. The left side is to A section. The right side is to B section. So they turn me left into A section. I pass through another door. This is where the tiers are at. They're like squares. There's three sections, A, B, and C on the top, A, B, and C on the bottom. There's about 8 cells in each section. So A section has 8 cells, and then you could see. So when you walk in the building, you're going to be looking straight at B section. And you walk in, they put me in a cell. They take me to a cell that's an intake cell. and that's in C section. So I walk in, they put me in, they close the door. I know the routine. I gotta keep looking ahead. When you walk into that cell, you don't turn around. You're not in the hole. They'll fuck you up for that. So you gotta look straight ahead, keep handcuffed. The door closes behind you. You still don't turn around. You put your hands outside of the tray slot. When they take one handcuff off, that's something that we all know that we've done a lot of time in the hole of the shoe. You leave your hand in the tray slot still, because if you move your hand back, they might think you're going to try to reach for something, spin around on them, and it's not going to go good for you. So you keep your hand in the tray slot when they uncuff one, and then they go around and they uncuff the second one, and then you can pull your hands in, and you still don't want to turn around fast. Let them close the tray slot, and then you turn around. So at this time, I'm not trying to turn around. All I'm looking at is the cell. It's the same 6x9 cell that I'm used to, but everything is different here. There's something about this cell, and the feel.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
There's something about being in the hole with life, and what that realization was is just like I was back in that holding cell again when I first came in for the murder case. It's just a sense of hopelessness. It just seems darker in there. It seems like the lights don't shine as bright. James, you want me to call back? Call back right now?
Yeah, yeah. I think we still have time for one more, right? You said till 6 o'clock, right?
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Yeah, I'll
Okay,
call back.
perfect, great. All right. So yeah, he had mentioned earlier on that he had, I think, something pending at 6 o'clock. So this will probably be the last call, and then I'll check if he's available tomorrow. And if he is, then we'll go ahead and continue, because it's definitely going to be a long journey. Like I was telling him earlier on, you can never 15 minutes is never going to be enough time, to get through these life journeys. But just so much happens in the course of your life that there's no way that and I don't even think all these phone calls are going to be enough. But we'll go ahead and get as much of his story that he's willing to share with us, and take it from there. And then after that, I'm reach out to Jesse, and possibly do a panel phone call with both of them, David and Jesse.
This is
Call is now
Global
being
Telling.
recorded.
You have a prepaid call from
David Lopez.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Okay, James?
Yep, right here.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so it's just, me and my cellie, we talked about it, because he went through a similar thing, When that door closes behind you, when you're in ASIG sucks anyway. ASIG, you know that door ain't going to open. That door ain't going to open for 24 hours, 48 hours. Whenever they go and take you out for your shower, they're going to cuff you up, take you out to the shower. It's like another cell. The shower's like a cage, and then they uncuff you. There's not really anywhere to put your stuff. You got to try to find a spot. Sometimes we don't have shower shoes when we get to the hole because we don't got nothing. So I've showered just putting socks on the ground because I didn't want to touch the ground. It's nasty. So, but I still have to shower. So I used to just put my socks on the ground and shower right there. But it's just sitting in there and there's nothing, man. And what was lucky for me is I found almost a whole book in there. It was a book that didn't have the ending. It was probably missing about 40 pages, and I read that book, man. I read that book so many times in there. I probably read that book 5 times while I was in that cell because there's just nothing to do. There's no, the first thing that I do when I'm in the hole is I listen. I want to know who's around me. I want to know who the GP dudes are. I want to know who the SNY dudes are. And remember, I was already, I had affiliated myself with the gang, at that time. So I'm listening for anything that I recognize from that, and I don't hear nothing. I don't hear. It seems like it's like I'm not hearing the conversations, that I'm looking for in my vent. The vent in those cells, it's loud, man. It takes up a lot of the sound gets drowned out by that vent. It blows nonstop, man. 24 hours a day, it just blows cold ass air. The hole is always cold, and and I got a white jumpsuit. So I'm wearing in AdSig we wear the white jumpsuit and mostly the boxers, but in this one I'm wearing the jumpsuit all the time. I got a bedroll, I got a blanket, a sheet. I don't got no pillow, so when I sleep I have to roll up my jumpsuit and try to like find a way to get comfortable, because it's hard to sleep without a pillow. So I remember just laying there in bed, and I don't have. It's not in me to take my own life. Like I don't. I'm one of those people that I don't got it in me, and it would have been nice to have that capability, in this circumstance, but I just don't got it in me. So I was thinking about that, like damn, like I wonder how many people, have actually done that in this situation, and I was thinking about it a little bit, and I was like, damn, I can't end this, if this is gonna be what it is, I'm gonna have to write this out and whatever it is, But it was a sobering realization to think like this is what the rest of my life is gonna look like. This is what it really looks like. That holding cell with the barbecue pit, like toilet on the ground, like that's all temporary. I'm not gonna go back to that cell because that's the county jail. But in prison, the cells all look the same. We get stuck in like a time warp right here, where decades go by, but nothing nothing really changes. Everything is similar. Everything looks the same. Everything is symmetrical. So we don't see those years passing us by. And that's what I was thinking. Like, damn, these are going to be my dimensions. These are going to be my dimensions for the next 40 years. So I stayed in the hole for, the captain has to come see you in 24 hours when you go to the hole. And she told me that it was a female captain, and she's reading off my history, and she's reading off all the assaults that I had in prison. She's reading off she mentioned the conspiracy to commit murder. She's mentioning the prison gang association. She's mentioning just all kinds of stuff. She says, look, man, I'm not going to release you from that SIG. I'm not going to have this on me. You go out there and kill somebody out in the yard. She goes, it's going to have to be the committee that does that. So I end up going to committee that following Thursday, and the committee asked me, they tell me that, look, that we're going to kick you out of AdSeg. We're going to put you into an SNY building, or well, I wasn't technically SNY yet. They had to give me a SNY chrono, so they're going to put me in a building that has a they told me we're going to put you in a fuck up building. Well, I've already been in fuck up buildings, so I already know what they look like. They're like, we're going to put you here. So I knew the building they were talking about. It was a building called it was on B Yard, which was B4. It was more cells. And they said that we know you paroled from the hole on your last term, but they said that you have a new number, a new prison commitment, so we can't hold you on that old shoe term. They said, but
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
they said, with your disciplinary history, we can reactivate your indeterminate shoe if you continue, committing violent acts in prison. So I didn't know if they could or not, but still, I took what they said seriously. They released me from the hole. I took that long trip back, man. Walked out of D6, back down those long pathways, all the way to that gate that opened. I'm getting escorted by an officer. There's a couple guys that got released from the hole with me. Back to that little hub, that little bubble. I go from B Yard. I go around a little circle. Another gate opens, and boom, I'm on B Yard. Everything looks the same. B Yard and D Yard look identical. So I go up, and I get put in B4. So when I walked into B4, it was a madhouse in there. That place was super loud. Everybody was yelling, and they were banging at me. They were yelling that SNY gang. They were yelling it all over the place. They wanted to know if we were affiliated, who we were affiliated with. And I'm tripping out because remember, this is supposed to be something. This isn't the main line no more. And everybody's yelling at me. Everybody's like, it's pandemonium in that place. So I look around and I see a few people that I knew from the county jail that were associated with that gang, So they knew me. So I start seeing these dudes, and I'm getting mad. I'm like, man, these motherfuckers are banging on me. So I start banging on them back, Like, this is what it is, whoop-de-whoop, and I'm putting all my shit out there. And if anybody wants it, you know where I'm at. That whole little spill. So they put me into a cell by myself. So that was in I got to Wasco State Prison on 5/22/2015. I mean, it's not the listeners I know that have been on this journey with me for a while. It's not hard to figure out what I probably did next. I looked for a reason and I attacked my neighbor. Um, I waited for a little while. I sat there. I kind of like built it out. I wanted people to know who it was. But on July 7th, 2015, which is about a little over a month or so later, my neighbor, he was a bully. He was a big dude. He was running his mouth. He had pushed up on a gang of dudes. And I waited till they opened our doors at dinner time, and I attacked him. He was in the cell next to me. And that dude wasn't a pushover, and he did all right. It wasn't like a full blown like beat down like I was kind of hoping it was. But when that dude hit me, it hurt. I felt that shit on my head. And when I hit him, it hurt. He felt it, and we kind of were like, damn, we let the cops come up and stop that fight. Yeah, but that's what I did, man. I wanted people to know that I was willing to commit violent acts, in just to represent. But so, James, it's gonna Wasco. I ended up leaving Wasco, and I got sent to Corcoran. But I mean, if you want, we can if you have any questions or anything like to ask me, we can before the phone call ends. We could do that now if you want, because when I got to Corcoran, that's where my change started to take place. Wasco was a madhouse. I drank, I used drugs, I got into fights. I got away with some stuff there. It was just pandemonium in that place. But I ended up getting transferred to Corcoran. So I
Thank.
figure that we could save that for another session if you want.
Yeah, yeah, because
Because I don't want
yeah,
to. I don't want to rush the.
yeah, no,
I don't want to
definitely.
rush the details either.
Yeah, no, 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 definitely don't want to rush the details. Yeah, like I said, I mean, take your time and give us as much details as possible. It'll give us like the full
Yeah.
full scope of your life journey. And actually, there is
Yep.
a question on here on the chat here. We have a question
Okay.
from Marlene,
Uh
and
huh.
what was the name?
Okay.
She wants to know the name of the book. Do you remember the name of the book?
What book?
That.
Oh, it was a Sue Grafton, the one that I read in the hole.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It was a Sue Grafton, and it was a Kinsey Mahomes story. Man. Okay, Sue Grafton. She writes. It was G is for gumshoe. That was the book.
G is for gumshoe. Okay. All right. Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah. That.
That's how my memory works, man.
This
That's
is-
why you get so much detail.
Man, I can't even remember what I did 15 minutes
Yep.
ago. Man, you're definitely
Yep.
doing good. You're sharp.
It was G is for gumshoe by Sue Grafton. Yes, it was. I read that book many times, but I never read the end of it. Yep. Yep.
uh,
That was the book.
so right here in the chat, they were talking about they wanna get a panel phone
This
call,
call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
a phone call with you and Jesse going on, and I was mentioning to them that
Yep.
once you're done with your life story, then definitely I definitely want to have
Uh-huh.
both of you guys on. Hopefully, you guys are interested in doing that,
Yeah.
and because the audience they
Yeah,
definitely
absolutely. Jess, they want us to do a phone call together. Jess just wants you to know. So yeah, he said absolutely. And the thing is yeah, Jesse's on his way out to group right now. He's going and he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's gonna go to like NAAA or something like that right now.
Okay,
And
okay.
he's doing all right, man. But not a problem, man. And it's. I mean, I went to a few more prisons after I left Wasco. I went to Corcoran, I went to Tehachapi, I went to Calipatria, and then I came here to Centinela. So
So you've been
there's
at quite a few places.
my journey. Absolutely. That's on this term. On the other term, you guys have heard about all the prisons that I was at before. And this one, when I left, Corcoran is a very important place. That's a very important prison because Corcoran is where my path to recovery started. But I had to go through the things that I went through in order to become the person that I was now. I was not expecting Corcoran to be like it was in SNY. It was different. Corcoran's where it started. Tehachapi is where everything actually took place, but Corcoran is where it all began because that's where my baby girl came back into my life, and that's
Okay.
where mine and Irene's story starts again.
Okay. So you got a love story in there too. I mean, we all think we all love hearing stories like that. So we're definitely rooting for you on that one.
Absolutely. Yep. No, thank you, man. Yeah, I got the ultimate love story, and nah, it worked out. It worked out pretty good, man.
So now you got no choice,
And
but you have to
anyway,
you
yeah,
have to write a book now.
I got to write a book. It's a love story now. We're gonna put it under romance. That's gonna be yep.
Eh, they-
Yeah.
hey, I got the cover
Yeah,
for you
it's a
already.
dope
You're
book.
gonna have some super firme vato with a long brocha, like holding some firme jaina. Man, I can see
Yep.
it already.
I do call her that. Yep. My wife is a white girl, but I call her my ruka. My female ruka. Yep.
That's right. That's right. So
Yep.
for tomorrow, are you available for tomorrow, or when do you have some
Yeah.
time to jump on again?
No,
Okay, tomorrow.
no, I'm good, man. I'm good at 4 o'clock. Yeah, I get off of work at 3. I can shower, and it's a good time, so we can move this along, so we can get Jesse on the horn, Jesse
Okay.
online with us.
All right, cool, perfect. Then we'll set. We're locked in for tomorrow. We'll be on around 4ish. Don't get upset if it's 4:05 or 4:10. Sometimes these things happen. I have
Yep.
hiccups over here on the system, but we're definitely gonna be on tomorrow, and David's gonna be sharing more of his journey, and then we're gonna get to the good parts, where he redeems himself, changes his life, and where he's at now, and how he wants to help others change their life
You have
also.
60 seconds remaining.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think it was gonna take this many phone calls. It's been a long time, man. It's been hours. Huh?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, good thing is the state is paying for
Yep.
these calls, so it makes it a lot
Yeah.
easier.
No, it's good, man. But yeah, you wanna say thank you, to all the listeners. Thank you again, James. Do you need me to call back after this, or are we
Nah,
good?
we're good. Yeah, yeah. So as long as we're locked in for tomorrow, then we're good. And then yeah, just call me tomorrow, and then we'll go ahead and always. I mean, if you want to call me a few minutes early, so we could just run it down really quick, and then before we go on live.
That's cool, man. All right, thank you. Shout out to everybody, man. Thank you for your time. You guys have a good night.
All
All
right,
right, James. See you
you
tomorrow.
as well. Thank you. All right, and I want to go ahead and thank all of you guys, for tuning in. We'll be on tomorrow, so put your alarm clocks in, and then I'll put up a stream, pending, and then we'll go ahead and I'll be back tomorrow at 4. So you definitely be hearing back from us tomorrow, and you guys go ahead and enjoy the rest of your evening. Until tomorrow, goodbye.